Hi, my name's Hugh, and I'm going to show you how to connect the PeakSimple software up to your SRI gas chromatograph, or perhaps you have our standalone data system, which is used to collect the data from any model of GC or HPLC. So inside the GC, there's the same hardware that we see exposed here. It's called an analog to digital converter board, or A2D board, as people abbreviate it. So the A to D board is what connects to the computer via the USB cable. It really just plugs in to the side of the GC or into that little box that contains the standalone data system. So the first thing that will happen is that you'll need to load the software. So the software is available on our website for free download anytime. There's two versions of the software. There's the 64-bit version and the 32-bit version. They're really identical software. The only difference is the driver that helps Windows connect to the GC via the USB cable. So if you have an XP computer, it's definitely going to be a 32-bit software. If it's a Windows 7, it could either be 32-bit or 64-bit. If it's Windows 8 or 10, then it's definitely going to be 64-bit software. So you load the software on the computer, and then you end up with an icon on the desktop that looks like this. So when you double-click the icon, PeakSimple software shows up and tries to connect to the GC. Now in this case, we're getting this message that the acquisition system is not functioning, and it's going to try to reconnect every 15 seconds. Well, the reason it's not functioning is that I don't have the USB cable connected. So as soon as I connect that up, now the software is going to find the GC, and it'll make a little box up in the top left, and you can see the progress of it as it tries to connect to the GC. So we'll give it just a second. So you see this little box here. It's signing on as it's, and it's calibrating the A to D board. And once it does that, now the computer is in communication with the GC or the data system. Now, if it's a brand new GC, there's a number on the side of the GC that is a unique number for every one of our PeakSimple data systems. You need to enter that number into the PeakSimple software by clicking on Edit and then Overall. And then you can see that there's a place here where you can enter the number. This particular GC is number 7345, so I'm entering that in this little box here that says COM-port USB device number. There's also a board type selection. So if it's a new GC, it's going to be a USB type of connection, and there's only two choices. It's going to be the 6-channel type or the 1-channel type. So that is also printed on the side of the GC. So that same little message, there's a little sticker here that tells you what kind of A to D board you have, but it's not that hard to figure out, because if the number is less than 5,000, then it's the single-channel board. If the number is greater than 5,000, then it's the 6-channel board. So if it's the 6-channel board, you select the 302 6-channel USB, you plug in the USB device number, and then when you click OK, if it's not already connected, then you get this little box that shows up on the left side saying that it's calibrating and connecting and that everything is okay. So once that happens, you'll notice that there's the word standby up here in the top right-hand corner. If there is no word that says standby, then the connection process was not successful. So you have to be able to see this word standby, and then next to the word standby there's a number. It's some number of millivolts. A millivolt is 1/1000th of a volt, and that's the kind of unit that the GC or most gas chromatographs and liquid chromatographs produce. They produce a millivolt signal, typically between 0 and 5,000 millivolts. That's what the PeakSimple data system can acquire. So you should see a number here, and the number should be changing just a little bit, because it's never completely quiet. There's always a little tiny bit of noise. These are microvolts of noise, not to worry about, but the number should be changing ever so slightly. So the first and most important thing on the PeakSimple software, once it's actually connected, is to click Edit and then Channels, and that brings you to this menu here. Now there's a quicker way to get there, and that's just to click this little icon in the icon tray that says 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're at the same place. So Step one is to go to the temperature button and enter the temperature program that you'd like the GC to follow. Now, if you don't have a GC and you just have the standalone data system, then it really doesn't matter what you put in here. But if you do have a GC, then you have to enter the temperature program. And you typically have to enter the temperature program in channel 1. You can enter temperature programs in other channels, but they don't do anything. It's only the temperature program in channel 1 that actually controls the gas chromatograph. So, if we were to start from scratch, I could clear this existing temperature program and then hit add. So now I type in the temperature that I want the GC to start at. So I'm going to type in 50, and then it's asking for how long to hold at 50. So I'm going to type in 1 minute. And then it wants to know how fast does the GC temperature ramp up to the final temperature. And I'm going to say 10 degrees per minute until the temperature is 200. So now I have a very simple temperature program. If I don't want Peak Simple to forget this program, I have to click Save. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call it Test. Any name is fine as long as you don't have two temperature programs with the same name. In the future, if you wanted to change to a different temperature program, you can just double-click on the temperature programs that are stored on the disk, and with just a couple of mouse clicks, there you are back with the new temperature program. Now, this particular temperature program takes 16 minutes to accomplish. So that time, 16, also shows up in this other window, Details, under the end time. So if you set the temperature program so that it takes 16 minutes, then the run will end automatically at the end of 16 minutes. The next thing that you need to do is click on the Event Table button and select the events. It's very similar. If we start from scratch, we can hit Add, and then select from all these different things that we can do during the course of the analysis. So you don't have to have any of these, but it's very convenient, for instance, to auto-zero the signal. So I'm going to click this little radio button that says 0, and then I'm going to leave the time that I want that to occur as being 0 minutes, and then click OK. So now I have a very simple event table that only does one thing, and that's at the beginning of the analysis, it auto-zeros the signal, which means if the signal is not exactly at 0, it brings it down to exactly 0 at the beginning of the analysis. Again, like the temperature program, we're going to save it. I'm going to call it Test. Doesn't matter what name you give it as long as you don't give two event tables the same name. Then the third thing is clicking on the post-run box. Now the post-run box is where you put in the file name that it's going to save this data as. So I'm going to type in a file name of test01 and then .chr. And what that is the name of the file that's going to be auto-incremented as long as I check this box. Every time I start a new run, the file name is going to change from test1 to test2 to test3, etc., as long as you continue with that file name sequence. And that's really all you have to do in the post-run box. So now we're basically ready to start an analysis. So I can either start the analysis by hitting the space bar on the keyboard, or on the GC, I can hit the Start button here. So watch this word standby up here. It's in standby because I haven't started an analysis. But as soon as I hit the button to start the analysis, the word standby changes now to the word running. And where we had some number of millivolts before, now we have exactly 0 millivolts because the event auto-zeroed the signal at the beginning of the run. So the run will progress until 16 minutes and then stop automatically. But if I want to stop the run early, I can click here with my mouse and I can go Acquisition Stop or Acquisition Stop plus Post-Run. And there's shortcut keys for that. The stop is just the N key on the computer keyboard. The stop plus doing all the post-run actions is Control and N. So if I just hit stop, then whatever I've specified to happen in the post-run box doesn't happen. It's only if I let the run end at the normal end time, which in this case is 16 minutes, or if I hit Control N, that all these things, whatever we decide that we want to happen at the end of the run, will occur. So there's a lot of little things that Peak Simple can do, and we have tutorials on our website, written tutorials that guide you through getting some familiarity with Peak Simple. But also, it's important to note that every box that you point to in Peak Simple, every place where you can enter a number, as long as you hover your mouse over that, Peak Simple comes up with an explanation of what that little box does. So we call it Peak Simple. We try to keep it so that it's as simple as possible to learn, but unavoidably there's a number of things. So this is covering the basics, and we hope that this will be helpful so that you can get up and running in a few minutes rather than a few hours. Thank you for your attention.